Hey everybody, happy Tutorial Thursday. It is Thursday lunchtime tutorial stream time. Hope everyone, that's not what I wanted to move. Hope everyone is doing well today wherever you are. It is not surprisingly hot and sunny here in Dallas because it's summer in Dallas, and hot and sunny is pretty much how it goes. But hey, we still have air conditioning that works at Beating Dreams, so we are happy for that. So what do we have for you on this lunchtime tutorial whilst Allison is trying to get all of the windows on her not very large computer screen to where I can see all of them. So today we have Pearl and Suede Lariat. So this definitely is not the first time we've done a project like this on stream. It's a fairly simple project. The thing about this one that I quite enjoy, there's a Heather cam, but there's no Heather because she's not in yet today. The thing about this one that I like a lot is this this end treatment here. So this bead here is not a large hole pearl. Okay, so all the rest of the pearls or beads on this project need to be large hole. They need to have a 1.5 to 2 millimeter drill hole. This one doesn't. See, we're being sneaky with this one. It's actually on a head pin, and then what I have is the wire wrap is actually concealed in this knot. So that's the thing about this particular Lariat project that I think is fun. So let's talk tools and supplies for this afternoon's tutorial. You're going to need some 1/8 inch suede cord. That can be deerskin suede or ultra suede, whatever you prefer. As far as length goes, I'm a fan of about 40 inches for a Lariat like this, because at 40 inches you can put it around your neck and you can tie it like so, or you can pretty easily fold it in half and drop the ends through and have this look as well. And that's long enough at 40 inches that it's not going to completely choke you to death theoretically while you try to do that. Now you can do longer. If you want to add an extra wrap or two around the neck, I would say just add, for every extra time you want to take it around, do at least a foot or 18 inches extra. But I'm going to do mine at 40 inches today. You're going to need some large hole beads, and so I have some large hole freshwater pearls that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to put 3 on each side of my Lariat, so I'm going to need 6 total, but you can really do however many you want. And the cool thing about the pearls on the suede is they'll slide, but then they'll stay. So if you want to just group them all, if you can change this basically depending on your mood, you can group them all down by your accent beads. You can spread them out, make them farther apart. So it's a fun kind of versatile way to be able to sort of change the look of your Lariat. So I'm going to be using 6 of my large hole pearls, and again, a large hole pearl typically has about a 2 millimeter drill hole. And then I've got my 2 accent pearls. So these are 2 beautiful big Baroque kind of flame ball pearls. And these do not have large holes. Okay, these have just your regular size drill holes. For those 2 pearls, I'm going to need 2 head pins. You can do silver or gold. You are going to see the head of the pin. Okay, so you can see right there, I can see my head pin. So it's kind of easy to say, hey, you're not actually going to see the metal, it doesn't really matter. And for the most part, that's true, but it is there, that just tiny little peak of it at the bottom. So, make sure you're happy with your metal choice. And that is, you're also going to need, and this is more of a tool than a supply, you're going to need just a small scrap of 26 or 28 gauge wire. So I literally pulled this out of my scrap bin. It's about 6-ish inches of 26 gauge wire. As far as tools go, you're going to need your basics. That's going to be your chain nose pliers, your round nose pliers, and your wire cutters. And you're also going to need an awl. That's a pokey, stabby thing. It does need to be sharp and pointy. And then some kind of a snip or scissors. There we go. It's also going to be helpful. So we're actually going to start this tutorial with the 2 basic wire wrap loops that are going to be on our end components. So for anybody out there who is not familiar with the basic wire wrap loop, it's one of my very, very favorite pokey stabby thingy. Yes, hi Scott. It's a technical term, I swear. Especially when people call you before you're open. But For anybody out there who's not familiar with the basic wire wrap loop, it is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much the most useful thing that you can teach yourself. If you go back a ways on our Twitch or our Facebook feed, you will find some basic wire wrapping tutorials. Usually they're called Back to Basics, Wire Wrapped, whatever. Necklace, bracelet, earrings, any of those will get you the knowledge that you want. There's also one called Create Your Station Chain. That's really good for that, and I do need to make sure to put another one of those up in the near future before they fall off of all of our platforms. But for now, we're going to do this twice. So this isn't a real deep dive into basic wire wrapping, but it's definitely going to give you at least an idea of this technique. And it really is a great technique. You can do so very much with it. That being said, I'm not wearing a darn thing today that's wire wrapped, but I promise it's very useful. That is not usually the case. Usually I'm wearing at least 5 or 6 things that are made using basic wire wrapping. So to start our basic wire wrapped component, we're going to take one of our accent pearls and we're going to put that onto our head pin. So the head, of course, is the bottom of the pin. That's what's going to stop your bead from falling off. You can orient your pearl however you would like. So you could do it that way. You could also do it this way. I tend to think of the fat part of the pearl as being the bottom, but there really is no objective truth on that. So you really can do this however you want. Now to start my basic wire wrap loop, I'm going to use my round nose pliers. That's this one here. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to hold them so that they are touching the top of my bead. Now, I'm going to need to fit this 1/8 inch deerskin through whatever size loop that I make. So I don't want to make a teeny tiny loop. And of course, since my pliers are tapered, as you can see, the closer I get to the end of the pliers, the smaller my loop is going to be. So I don't want to make a super tiny loop. I want to go kind of right around the middle of the pliers for my project today. Now I'm going to take my left hand. Okay, so I'm a right-handed individual. That means my pliers are in my right hand. I'm going to take my left hand, the hand that's not holding the pliers, and I'm going to use that to manipulate my wire. So I'm going to push my wire over my pliers to make a 90-degree angle. Then I'm going to loosen my pliers, rotate them 1/8 of a turn, and grab again. So what I've done is I've rotated up and I've grabbed right on that little corner that I just made. Now I'm going to take this wire, which if I were sitting in a normal position and not trying to display this to a webcam, this wire would be behind my pliers. It would be, my pliers would be between the wire and myself. So we're going to go ahead and take that wire, we're going to pull it back up over the top and all the way down. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a loop around my pliers. I need to finish this loop, but I can't right now because this part of my pliers is in the way. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen my pliers, rotate them out of the way, grab again, and then push underneath so that I have this. This is what we on the Beading Dream stream call our lady with a scarf. We call it that because it looks reminiscent of a lady if she were in a convertible motoring along with a long scarf dramatically trailing out behind her. Now, I don't need to attach this lady to anything, so I'm just going to grab my chain nose pliers. I'm going to hold across her head, and I'm just going to wrap. So I'm going to take this loose piece of wire, and I'm just going to wrap it around, starting at the base of that loop, and then continuing until I get all the way down to my bead. Now, at some point, you might get to the point where you can't grab this with your fingers. That's where you can grab another pair of pliers, another chain nose if you have it, or your round nose if that's all you have handy. You can use that to grab your wire and pull it around. So that's my basic wire wrap loop. Now I'm going to take my wire cutters and I want to get in there and just snip. And then I have, again, a little pokey end there that I don't want. So I'm just going to pinch that loop and press down that little end with my chain nose pliers so that it doesn't snag. And that is my basic wire wrapped component with my accent pearl. Now we're going to do that again for our second one because of course our lariat has 2 ends, but if you didn't want to make a lariat, what you've just learned, this right here, could very easily just take this, thread it onto a piece of leather or a chain, and have a really great looking necklace that's very, very simple. So again, basic wire wrap loop, one of the best things you can possibly learn. Time for it to do it again. Round nose pliers, touching the top of our bead, And we're going to go away, rotate, back up over the top, rotate underneath. That's our lady with the scarf. Hold across that loop and wrap. Again, you want to wrap starting at the base of the loop, going downwards. And if you can't hold that wire with your fingers, it's okay. This is why we have tools. Trim your end off. And then press that little stabby bit down. And there we go. All right, so that's our 2 end accent beads. Now let's go ahead and add our large hole beads to our suede. And so if you've ever tried to put large hole pearls onto suede like this, you've probably discovered that it's not actually as easy as you might think. So you basically have 2 routes for getting these beads on your suede, and I'm going to show you both of them. All right, number 1, which is the less tool heavy one, is to take scissors, a nice sharp scissors, and cut your suede into a really long diagonal, like so. And the theory here is that the tip of that diagonal is going to be thin enough to go through your pearl, and then you can grab that suede and pull it through. Because of course, since the suede doesn't have a whole lot of body, you really got to find a way to pull it through rather than push it through. You can't really force it through your bead by pushing, but you can force it through by pulling. So again, that's option 1. Cut your long diagonal, go through, grab, and then just pull that through like that. You don't even need sometimes your pliers to do that. You can do it with your bare hands. If you have a slightly more stubborn bead, you can go to option 2, which requires more stabbing, but is more effective when you've got a tighter hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my awl, I'm going to stab a hole in the end of my suede. Just going to stab right through it, like so. And this is where that scrap of 26 gauge wire I was talking about comes in. So I'm going to pull my awl out of that hole that I made, and I'm going to put my 26 gauge wire into that hole that I made. I'm just going to feed it through and bend it in half, and now what I've done is I've effectively made a needle on my suede, and then I can take that needle, push that through, and then either grab it with my fingers or grab it with my chain nose pliers and use that to pull my suede through. So either one of these, you know, has a good chance of being effective. Again, the first one is easier if you don't have a super tight fit of your pearls on your suede. The second one, the one I'm doing now, is more effective when you do have that tight fit. It'll sometimes help you kind of cheat in that and get your pearls on even when they don't necessarily fit easily. Okay, so now I've got 1 more. Okay, so I've got 6 pearls on my suede, and once again, I just made my little needle by punching through my suede, putting my wire through, bending it in half, and then I'm using that to pull my beads onto my suede. So I've got 6 beads on my suede. Of course, I could, you know, put however many beads I wanted to on this, and then, like I said, I'm going to make this about 40 inches total, but I'm going to go ahead and knot my first end on because I know that's going to take up some length, and that'll give me a better way to estimate how much length I need to leave for the second knot. So I'm going to take my end of suede, and yes, this is the one that has a hole punched in it. It's totally fine. That's going to wind up getting cut off anyway, so you might as well use it. Stick that through my loop, and then I'm going to tie this knot, which is called a barrel knot. And by the way, if you want a 40-inch, and I should have said this at the beginning of the tutorial, if you want a 40-inch lariat, don't cut yourself 40 inches of suede. Cut yourself 4 feet of suede, because you're going to need extra for these knots at the ends. Okay, if you cut yourself 40 inches, you're going to probably wind up with about a 36-inch lariat, which there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're going to wear it folded in half, it's a little bit short. So now we're going to tie our barrel knot. So I'm going to take my suede and I've put it through my wire wrap loop, and I'm going to bend it in half, and I want to give myself plenty on this tail side. So I've got a solid 5 inches or so. Now this is very similar to tying a slip knot in leather. I'm just going to take my short end, my free end, and I'm going to coil that down towards my bead. So I'm going to coil 3 times. 1. So I'm coiling around both of those. 1, 2. I count that first one as 1. So some people would say this is 2. I say this is 3. Then I'm going to take my working end and I'm going to feed it back up these coils, which, since I coiled them a little tightly, is a little harder than it really needs to be. And again, this is where tools are your friends. I'm just using my round nose to reach through and grab that gently, wiggle it through, and now here's the slick part, is we're just going to kind of, if I pull on this long string, I can just move that knot down, so now it covers over all the wire work on that pearl. And then just go ahead and pull on your working end, which is the short end, and that will tighten up your knot. And sometimes you gotta alternate, you gotta pull both. Pull one, then pull the other. And there you go. So now you have completely hidden, you can see it a little bit right back there, but for the most part you've completely hidden your wire work. And so it looks like you've knotted that pearl onto your leather when in fact you haven't. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure. Like I said, I want to do about 40 inches. So let's see, that's 12, 24, 34, 40. Okay, so that's 40 inches right there where my thumbnail is. So I want to give myself a solid extra 6 inches or so to do that knot with. I can cut off the rest. Find my other end and do the same thing. So go through, and the reason that I'm holding this here is what I want to do is I want to go through my end, and honestly, if you're trying to do this one-handed, cutting this end at an angle, not a bad idea. Cutting it at a longer angle, also not a bad idea. Come on, Suede. Don't do me wrong on the internet. Haha, there we go. And I want to pull it all the way up and set it right where my thumbnail is, because this was my 40-inch mark. So this is basically where I want my other end to be. Now, if you want to be picky about this, you may have noticed that the suede has 2 different textures. One is a smoother texture, one is more of kind of a fuzzy texture. I like the smooth texture to be out in my knots, which means I needed to flip that so that I can do this. So when I fold this together, I've got suede to suede instead of top grain to top grain. Being a very right-handed person, I'm going to switch this back around, so I'm holding it the same way I did before. Again, I've got my short end and my long end. I'm going to take my short end and I'm going to start coiling it, and I'm going to start coiling away from me, over the leather, behind, underneath, however you want to think about it. But your first motion should be not toward yourself, it should be away from yourself. And I'm going to do my first coil, and then my second coil, my third coil. I'm going to be progressing down towards my bead. So we got 1, 2, and I learned my lesson, so I'm going to make these a little bit looser. 3. Alright, so there's my 3 coils, progressing down to my bead. Take your working end, feed it back up through those coils. Like so. Go ahead and pull. And the key here to having a neat knot is to just kind of corral your coils as you're pulling. Don't just yank that. You know, make sure that you're kind of holding your coils and making sure that everything is in place. Now, before you tighten it too much, just pull on this long string and slide that down over your wire work, and then continue to pull on both your working string and your other string until you have a nice tight knot. And then I can go ahead and I can snip these ends off. And I can snip them fairly flush. And the suede tends to hold a knot pretty well, but if you wanted just a little bit of extra security, you absolutely could take a little bit of hypo cement and just dab it right there just to glue the end to your knot. And then you can position your large hole pearls wherever you would like. So they can be close together, they can be far apart. If I'm going to wear it, you know, folded over, I like them to just kind of be at the ends. And there you go. Congratulations, we did it. So that's it. That's a fairly early end to our lunchtime tutorial. This is a really easy project. I do love these for that reason, especially if you are making gifts and you have to say, oh, I don't know, you forgot that you needed a gift for a birthday or for a hostess gift. You happen to have some large hole pearls lying around. So easy, so quick. And you don't have to use pearls for the accents at the ends either. You can really use whatever you want to. So it's a great kind of stash buster as far as that goes as well. Also, as far as just presentation, you know, especially like hostess gift, birthday gift, these wrap really well around a bottle of wine. You can just double wrap it and then put it through the middle. So, and you have jazzed up, you know, you've jazzed up your bottle a little bit and you've given a piece of jewelry in addition to, you know, that hostess gift. So it's a really, really fun one. Thanks, Lori. It's a really, really fun one, and once again, so incredibly easy. So thanks so much for spending some of your Thursday afternoon with us on the Beating Dreams live tutorial stream. For anybody out there who doesn't know me, I'm Allison from Beating Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead shop. We are here on Lover's Lane in Dallas to feed your need to bead 6 days a week. So that means we are here Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. That means we open in about 20 minutes or so, and we'll be here till 6 p.m. Open for business on Lover's Lane. Now, if you're not local in Dallas, of course, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/beatingdream, 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We stream Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus Thursdays at noon, and live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. So, this evening is Torch Thursday on the Beating Dreams. Hey, thanks, Robin. Torch Thursday on the Beating Dreams stream tonight. We're going to be doing hammered and soldered bangles. This is a rerun, but it's a rerun from way back at the beginning of quarantine. So pretty sure there are some of you who are stream watchers now who haven't seen that. So that's this evening's project. It involves fire. It involves hammers. I mean, really, could you have a better Thursday night? I don't think so. So in the meantime, I'm going to go and help feed people's need to bead for the next several hours, and I'll see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/beating dream tonight at 6 for Torch Thursday.